Good afternoon, and blessings in the name of our Lord Jesus. I was going to do this whole fancy video of all my prophecies that I did that came to pass and that fulfill and all this other stuff. And one of the reasons is because my recent prophecy in regards to the hurricane that was going to hit our island, I took so much heat for that. And I really don't care about the heat as much, but my kids, my family, my friends, like this type of stuff affects them as well. And it's one thing if you guys are calling me crazy and all these things, but you know, my family doesn't like to read those type of things about their mom or about their wife or about their loved ones, right? And so I was going to do this whole video about like all the prophecies I've done that came to pass, so people would understand that this is outside of me, and that when God shows me things, it's not me. Like, it's not some upset stomach that I went to bed with. It's not I overate candy last night and so now all of a sudden I'm having these crazy dreams. But the only hurricane that hit this season landed in the Caribbean. I know that hurricane was meant for our island. I know that. I saw that. And in the dream, God showed me that if we prayed and repented, that he would avert that hurricane. Now, in that first video that I did in regarding the hurricane, somebody said, how can you even know if a hurricane is going to hit and where it's going to hit and all these things? And I answered that back in the second video, and I let them know, like, it's not a matter of if a hurricane's going to hit. A hurricane's coming. The issue was, is it going to hit Roatan, and what we can do to avert it from hitting Roatan, because and I said it in the first video how massive this hurricane was, and if it hit our island, it would devastate the island. It would just devastate everything. Yutila, Guanaja, Roatan would get devastated. And I said this in both the videos that I did, answering the people back and all this stuff. And in the second video, I said, it's not a matter of whether the hurricane's going to hit the Caribbean. It's going to hit the Caribbean. It's just that we don't want it to hit Roatan, because it would literally wipe us off the map. And so God showed me that if we prayed and repented, he would be grace. He would literally show grace. He would be gracious enough to divert this hurricane. I'm really sorry that it hit Jamaica. I really am. It devastated that island. But if it had hit our island, it would have wiped us off the map. Like, that hurricane was so massive and so powerful. Our little island would have not been able to withstand it. So I know why God called me to pray when he called me to pray. Now, whether you believe that or not, that's your business. That's not mine. But I will tell you that the only hurricane to make landfall in 2025 hit the Caribbean. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. And most of us can't predict what we're going to wear tomorrow, yet alone where a hurricane might form and where it might hit. So whether you believe it or not, that's not on me. But what I don't like is when my kids or my husband or my family or friends are made to believe that I'm crazy or all these other things. The Bible says that if there be a prophet among you, when they speak and those words come to pass, then that's when you know they're a prophet. And these things have happened. This is not my first hurricane that I predicted that happened. And it won't be my last, I'm sure of it. I didn't ask for these gifts. The other part of this is I didn't ask for God to talk to me or to do anything through me. I would prefer not to. I prefer to be by myself in private with my family. But I am gracious and thankful that he's using me, and all I can do is be obedient when he speaks. And so today I have a prophecy for Roatan. And again, what you decide to do with the information is your business, not mine. I don't care. God will do what he's going to do anyways. And it's for who needs to hear it. The rest, I don't care. So when you guys come with your comments, I don't care. Just know that. For my kids and my husband and my family, whatever comments you see, just ignore it. Like, that's all I can tell you at this point. Just ignore it. You guys know the truth. But again, most of us can't predict what we're going to wear tomorrow. Literally, I don't even think it was a month after I said a hurricane was coming to Caribbean. A hurricane formed in the Caribbean and hit in the Caribbean. The only one to hit in 2025. I don't know. Like, I don't know what else to tell anybody. I don't care. Just, I don't. But anyways, let's get to the point. Roatan. I'm from there, born and raised, for anybody that doesn't know. So I know this is why God speaks through me to the island, okay, especially to Roatan. There's an issue at hand that the island, I hope, is talking about already, and putting into work a plan. If they're not, it needs to be enacted, and I mean like not tomorrow, but like yesterday. God brought me to the island at a time when I don't know, for those of you who are my age and a little older, Mr. Oscar used to have a shop, storefront by the little bridge, right before you got to the little bridge. And then right across the street was the wood. They used to sell lumber. It was a lumber yard. I don't remember the lady name that owned it. It's not coming to me, but that's where I was. I was standing in the front of her lumber yard, and they were building coffins. Okay, so this prophecy is pertaining to the dead. They were building coffins, and they were measuring our elders' length and width, and literally like the depth. Okay, and they were measuring these coffins because a new ordinance had came down from the president that required our dead to be buried in a confined space, because the cemeteries on our island were overflowing. There was nowhere to put our dead. And so our senior citizens who were pretty close to dying had to be taken down to be measured to ensure that they would fit in this new statue and measurement that the president had sent down, because she, and I say she, but it wasn't a she at the time of when I'm seeing this vision, but nonetheless, and that might be for the next president after this lady. But anyways, a new order had came down to cremate the dead, and the island revolted because we don't burn our dead. And so what happened is they put into statute a new ordinance that require us to measure our dead and confine their coffin literally to the size of their body, nothing else. And it was like these little wood boxes, and then they would stack our dead literally on top of each other, right next to each other. And families that were not part of this family, it didn't matter. Like, it didn't matter that this was your family. Everybody just kind of got intermingled and buried together because there was no space for our dead. So not only that, and this has, I don't know if it's like the rains that will expose the issue, or it'll kind of make it more evident that there is an issue, especially at Cox and Hole Cemetery, Dawn and Constellation Bight. The drainage. So in the vision, there was this understanding of like it rained and the cemetery flooded, and it flooded so bad, and then the sea rose, and it was just a whole mess, and there was no proper drainage in the cemetery for the water to come out, so graves started to come up from the ground, and so that was one issue. And like I said, the biggest issue is that the cemetery seems to be shrinking while everything around us is expanding, and there is no like where to put our dead people. So in the vision, it was very clear that pretty quickly here, our islanders will be forced to make a decision, because we need bigger cemeteries. We need different land for our dead, and right now what we have is kind of running out. And so I don't know who is watching this video, if you know somebody that can get this presented before somebody that can actually start to have the conversation, because that's what's needed. Our islanders are going to need a proper burial place. Like, what? In the vision, I was just like confused. Like, at what point do we feel like this is okay? Like, these are our loved one. Like, they need to be put to rest in a proper way. But like I said, space was limited. If we don't, like I said, then we're forced for the mainland to make our decisions. And when the mainland has to step in to make the decision for the island, it never works in the favor of the islander. Please hear me when I say this. If mainland has to step in to make the decision on our cemeteries, it will not work out in our favor, okay? Because like I said, us islanders don't burn our dead. We don't cremate. We don't do that. Some of us might start coming around to the idea of it, but that's not like the number one option for most of us, right? So in order to avoid what external sources will force us to do, we need to begin to address the issue and create a plan so that we are equipped and in control of our destinies on this island and our traditions and our values. And if we don't do those things, then external forces will come in and force us to do things the way they want us to. And it will not work out the way we think it will. And the reason I'm saying this like this is because most of us on the island tend to sit back and wait for others to do things. We don't speak up when we need to. We don't fight. We don't do nothing until it is too late. And this isn't one of those things we want to wait on, okay? Because it made me very sad in the vision as I saw it. Like, it was just sad. Like, I don't ever want any of my island people to have to take their loved ones to be measured for a coffin prior to them dying because there's some ordinance and there's not enough space at the cemetery for them. Like, what? That just sounds crazy. And I know it does, but this is what God showed me. So, and the reason he's showing it to me is because there is something we can do about it. And it is not set in stone yet, which means that it's changeable with the right actions. So this is the opportunity for us to take actions and start to talk about what we're going to do about our cemeteries on that island. And I hope that we take heed and that things start to move in the right direction pertaining to this topic. That's all I have for today. Like I said, God bless you guys. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. I know this topic isn't a fun one. I didn't choose the topic. I'm minding my business and God's like, I need you to talk about this. And it's like, okay, that's awesome. So I share as God reveals, as God shows, and I hope that it falls on the right ears and that something is able to be done about it. God bless you guys, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.